Man, it's smoky in here. Hold on, let me get the fan. Oh man, that's better. Welcome to Legends, I'm Derka, and there is something in the air around here, and it's not love. Those new Italian battleships are here, and I'll be darned if they don't have rolling smoke generators. Today we are in Francesco, the tier 6 tech tree battleship. Not only does she have rolling smoke, but SAP secondaries to boot. So for the memes, we put on a full secondary build to test them out. The game in the background is one of the results. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Italian battleships, what's up with them? Well, as a general outline, they're pretty maneuverable, they're stealthy, they have short range and accurate guns, rolling smokes can be found at tier 6 and 7, and they also have SAP secondaries, and we'll go into more depth here in a minute about all that stuff. But first, the build. Paolo di Revel is the man in charge with Von Hipper and Arpeggio Haruna. If you don't know who she is, she was one of the Arpeggio collab commanders, and she increases secondary range and dispersion. She is a level 14 and Hipper is a 14-2. That way you kind of have an idea of how many points we really put in this to get what we got. We're using Porcupine as well as secondary battery mod 2. All of this together gave us 6.9 kilometer secondary range. 3-second reload on the 90s, 4-second reload on the 152mm guns. Worth noting though, I think, the damage from the 152mm secondaries is 3,900. Compare that to similar guns on Bismarck, which is 1,700, and you can see that these SAP shells can really shred when they pin. A little bit about what these shells are. SAP stands for semi-armor piercing. It's the shells we've really been asking for Italian cruiser main batteries and for the battleships on PC. The main battery guns of each have SAP shells, but we got them in the form of secondaries. These shells have totally different characteristics than we're used to, and I thought we could kind of go over them a little bit without getting too nerdy. They're kind of like a mix of HE and AP shells. They have better penetration abilities, but they don't have splash damage and they do not cause fires. They have really great ricochet angles and cannot overpenetrate. So let's look at this chart. For starters, you're going to have a significantly lower chance of bouncing than AP shells. We can see here anything past 10 degrees and you have a chance of doing damage. Anything past 16 degrees and you will never bounce a shell. So it makes a big difference against angled ships. You can kind of think of them like HE shells in the sense that distance, speed, or angle of impact is not going to affect their penetration ability. They have a set number of armor that they can pin, just like HE. In the case of our battleship here, the 152mm guns can penetrate 42mm of armor. And that's about as far down this rabbit hole that I want to go. Especially considering here on Legends that we can't aim these things, so targeting specific areas of ships really doesn't matter. Where the shell lands and hits, it's all going to be RNG and luck. But I hope it does kind of explain where these shells fall in between AP and HE. Now, the next thing to go over with these ships that is pretty new is rolling smoke. On Francesco, we have 45-second duration on this, and you will be invisible in this smoke unless you fire your guns. It works at full speed as well. You don't have to slow down or stop. When you shoot your guns though, your detectability automatically jumps up to 13 kilometers. So that's the big takeaway here. There is always a smoke firing penalty. A minimum detection range when you're in smoke and you shoot your guns, and for battleships, it's huge. So if you want to get the most out of these things, just remember to let that little trigger finger rest. At the start of a game, click Start, look at the bottom right menu to learn your detection ranges. we're going to get 3 of these consumables, and they're really great for repositioning, disengaging. If you're taking too much heat, you can think of it like your little get out of jail free card, just like destroyers and Royal Navy cruisers. Used correctly, it's pretty fun, and I think there's great application for memes as well as competitive play, but I'm looking forward to maybe a triple division with the rolling smoke rushes. Exactly what it sounds like. Take turns with rolling smokes and end up pushing a helpless enemy that cannot see or shoot you. Moving on, the other consumable to talk about here are the heals. They're a little bit different than other battleships. They don't provide a lot of health, but you get more of them. With this setup, we got 6. That's with the level 16 Paolo and Master Mechanic. Each heal is good for 8,200 health, again, kind of on the low side, but with 6, that's 49,000 health you could get back if you play it right. Basically, a whole nother ship. We also get the enhanced secondary targeting module to try to assist with the accuracy there. Overall, these ships have a pretty unique playstyle as battleships go, and we'll briefly cover the stats of Francesco to see how she stacks up against the other tier 6s. Health points wise, she is nearly the worst at the tier, so playing maybe conservatively, using your heals and the smoke will be crucial. Torp belt is one of the best, so that does help a little bit, especially against your plight against destroyers. Reload time is not great, especially considering these are 381mm guns, 15-inch guns. So the Colorado and the Nelson, even with their larger guns, can outmatch you here and have just as fast of a reload. So as you might imagine, that makes your damage output, DPM, some of the worst. To make matters worse, the fire chance of the HE shells is pretty abysmal. So generally, I wouldn't bother with bringing the HE shells into the fight unless you just know you have a destroyer coming up that you're going to blap. On the subject of these guns, Italian battleships have really high shell velocity. Don't quote me on this here, from but what I saw, it's the fastest shell velocity at the tier, 850 or so meters per second. So this is going to make your aiming at long range pretty great, help you to penetrate thicker battleships' armor, but it's also probably going to lead to a lot of overpins with cruisers, and this is a problem that I had with Roma over and over again. So just keep that in mind. Anti-aircraft, 65, that's pretty average. Turning circle, above average, so she's kind of nimble, kind of fun to play. If only the rudder shift were a little bit better, but here it's slightly below average. What's really cool about Francesco though, and I think it's a trait of all the Italian battleships, is her concealment. I have her tied with Florida as the sneakiest battleship at tier 6, 13.7 kilometers. I've said it before, but I think concealment is very underrated when it comes to battleship play. And after a weekend of playing some German battleships, it makes a big difference. If you don't know, German battleships are some of the unsneakiest battleships in the game. But yes, having good concealment, you can get into better positions, out of positions, and disappear if things get rough. On to the secondary build. Yes, these SAP secondaries, they're pretty powerful, but you have to give up a lot to bring them into the fight. They're not like German battleships. Their base range is going to be like any other ship, around 5 kilometers. So again, you have to put a lot into it to get them into the fight, and you have to get up close and personal. Like we said earlier, 6.9 kilometers, and that's with everything that I could put into secondaries. Those people that have like level 16 Von Hippers, they'll do better than I did here. But I really think that when I start to play these ships more, I'm going to go with a bit of a hybrid build. Hybrid build being maybe putting in Cunningham to kind of clean up the Sigma, which is 1.6. It's not very good. But leaving Von Hipper on there, and then maybe secondary battery module, so that you kind of have a mix of both. You can use the SAP secondaries, but your main gun accuracy won't be so terrible. Because again, 31.5 second reload, and that's with a level 16D Revel. So it's very slow, and if you're missing a lot of shots due to bad RNG, it's going to get pretty frustrating. And I've made a video in the past about frustration and about taking RNG out of the equation to basically have more fun in this game. All right, let's talk about this match. I thought for sure this was a loss, and I was probably going to blame myself for kind of playing a meme ship and not feeling like I could do a whole lot in this thing. Again, like we talked about, you lose so much by putting so much into secondaries. You have really short range, and with your low HP pool, pushing in can be kind of a dangerous proposition. So, my division mate Sank and we kind of played this one safe at the end so that we could win. His will to rebuild with me and then over there on the North Carolina is absolutely what won the game for us. Top tier destroyer play. That's what it is right there. We finally got caught back up on the ship lead, and since we had the higher score, we decided we were just going to sit here. I mean, there was really nothing their cruisers could do. Once he got will to rebuild on that North Carolina, we were in a safe position and we could just wait them out. I don't know why the P. Bagration sailed off into the sunset. He should have stuck around and helped the Weimar a little bit, but hey, I'm not going to look a gift horse into the mouth. We're going to take the win. And so we just played it safe with a good crossfire. North Carolina over there, me over here. And just kind of wait it out until they make a move and see what we can do. Overall, I like this ship. I think it is fun. I'm going to try it out more with the hybrid build, the hybrid setup, and kind of see how that goes and see if I can get a little more fun out of it. Also worth noting here, the only upgrade we had on the ship was the B hull. We did not have the B hull, the upgraded hull. We did not have the firing range increase or the engine upgrade, so both of those would also make this ship a little more of a strong contender. Well, let me know what you guys think of these new Italian battleships. Have you got any out of the crates yet? If so, which ones? I look forward to hearing from you guys. And with that, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. That helps me out a lot on this channel, and subscribe for future videos. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.